So hi students. So in last class we had stopped in the arrival of the Europeans. So after that we have the concept that is unity in diversity. So when we say unity in diversity, already I think it's there in your second PU history textbook. That is part of your first chapter, unity in diversity. I think I would have given a clear explanation there. I would like to give it here as well. So unity and diversity. Unity having some things relative, diversity which is different in many ways. Okay, so let's go into the topic. India is a plural society, rightly. Plural means we have different types of society, characterized by its unity and diversity. So through unity and diversity we come to know that India is an plural society. This acceptance of culture pluralism does not detract from the ideal of promoting social, economic, and political integration. So what happens is this acceptance of cultural pluralism does not detract. Okay, so because we accept different types of culture, that does not come what may make way for economic or political differences. Okay, unity implies oneness or the sense of we-ness. Okay, so oneness being everyone are equal, or we-ness we all are equal. Okay, meaning of integration where hetero device, device people and culture are synthesized into a united whole along with the higher levels of cooperation. So we have what to say, we all are united in the basis of color, it will be a culture or religion, etc. Mutual understanding, shared value, common identity, and national consciousness. It lightly holds together the various relationships of ethnic groups or institutions in a combined bonds of plan, structure, norms, and values. So what happens is it holds together. Okay, relationship, like we having different ethnic groups, let it be like different tribal groups, different religious group, we come together and we have a bond and we have a structure in the society and norms and values. So we for certain kinds of laws and certain types of value which is there in the society. The term diversity donates collective difference, so as it to find the dissimilarities among the people. So diversity donates the collective difference. Okay, so collective difference, when you say it, find out the dissimilarities among the people, geographical, religious, linguistic, etc. So what are the dissimilarities which is there? It is the geographical, it is a geography, how it is different. India is culture, I think geographical different in the different extent, different mountains, and we have major seas and oceans. Religion, and India also is a country where we are multi-religious. Okay, and linguistic, we have different kinds of language, we have different types of language which use. Thus all these differences presuppose collective differences or a prevalence of variety of groups of culture. Indian society's characteristics by unity as well as diversity. So what happens, variety of groups and cultures. Okay, so together it is coming, and we have India is what is named as unity as well as we have diversity. Then next, moving on, the nature of diversity in India. So what are the different types of diversity which is there in India? Primarily there are major four types of diversities in India, which is the regional diversity, linguistic diversity, religious diversity, and cultural and ethnic diversity. So now we'll be dealing with one in the different ways. What is the meaning of each diversities here? Regional diversity, it is evident that there are extreme regional diversity in India. Geographical features, so regional means the places. Okay, in the depending on the place diversities, Indian territory contains huge mountains, thick forest, numerous rivers. So we have many mountains, we have many forests and many rivers. It is only in India that there are so many different regions, different types of climate and temperature. So India is a country which has different types of climate and different type of temperature varying from each state. Okay, India is a vast country from the Himalayas in the north and to the ocean in the south. So we say no, from Himalayas to Kashmir to Kanyakumari we say. So if in Himalayas you in Kashmir, if you have Himalayas, in south you have Kanyakumari. So which is relatively creates the path for the ocean and seas. It covers total area of 32 lakh 87,263 square kilometer. Its land mass measures about 3,200 kilometers from the north to south. So it's almost 3,200 kilometers from north to south, and 2,933 kilometers from east to west. So from east to west and north to south. Differences of east to west is, so you can see north, south, west, east. So having the major difference from this part to this part and this part to this part of the country. It has land frontier of 12,200 kilometer, also coastal of 7,516 kilometer. Land frontier is nothing but the land, overall land. Okay, there are different in altitude, temperature, flora, fauna. Okay, so temperature varies, altitude varies, and flora and fauna, different kinds of trees, animals, plants, etc. We have it has every convenable type of climate, temperature, and physical configuration. So we have all kind of type climate, temperature, and physical configuration. There is the scorching of heat in Rajasthan and biting cold in the Himalayas. So we can see how you have the extreme level of heat in Rajasthan and extreme level of cold in Himalayas. Rainfall varies from 12,200 to 7.5 centimeters per year. So the rainfall also varies from year to year. So what this example, if you have to see in example of in South India, you can see in Chennai extreme hot it will be there. So when you compare to Bangalore is bit colder than that. The result in that India has some of the wettest and driest area in the world. So we have both the wettest and driest area. India also possesses the desert and fertile riverine lands, bare and hilly tracts, and luxuriant open plains. So we have rivers, we have hills, we have open plains, and we have deserts and etc. So this is why India is called in the concept of regional diversity. So each region is different. For example, Bangalore is different in some kind of climate. Chennai is different. When you go to North Himalayas, if you have in Kashmir Himalayas, then when you come towards the west, your Rajasthan is extreme hot. Then next, moving on to the linguistic diversity. Linguistic diversity. Language is another source of diversity. So language is another source of diversity. Diversity is different things. Okay, it contributes to collective identities and even to conflicts. The Indian Constitution has recognized 22 Assami, Bengali, Gujarati, 22 languages. Okay, so almost the Indian Constitution which has recognized, so that is Assami, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Kashmiri, Malayalam, Marathi, Oriya, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Sindh, Tamil, Telugu, Urdu, Manipuri, Nepali, Konkani, Santhali, Bodo, Maithili, and Dogri language in the 8th schedule of for its official purpose, but as many as 1652 languages and dialects are spoken in the country. So we have 22 important languages which is recognized by Constitution. Under that we have 8 which is used for the official purpose, and we have 1605 language, and dialects is nothing but different. For example, if we have speakers who speak the correct language, then people who adapt that in a different language, that is called dialect. According to Gerson Linguistic Survey of India, this language belongs to 5 linguistic families, okay, namely Indo-Aryan language, Dravidian language, Austrian language, Tibo-Bourbon language, European language. So this has been this language is further divided according to Gerson belong to the 5 linguistic family. So that is the different types of linguistic family. So we'll see the East linguistic family now. The Indo-Aryan language, including Sanskrit, Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, Gujarati, Oriya, Punjabi, Bihari, Rajasthani, Assami, Sindhi, and Kashmiri language spoken by 3/4 of Indian population. So why 3/4 means all the part of North Indian, each people speak all this Indo-Aryan language. So North India, it is said that Aryans had come and occupied. So that is the reason why in North India you have majorly people speaking to the Indo-Aryan language. Then moving on to Dravidian language. When you say Dravidian, it reflects to South India. Includes Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, and Malayalam. So this is the Dravidian language where the South Indian people mostly speak. The Austric language include Mundari, Santhali, Mathili, Dogri, etc. So the Austrian language is majorly related to the other parts of India. The Tibeto-Burman language, tribal languages and dialects in north and northeastern countries, okay, northeastern India, okay, which belongs to the Guarantee. For example, Manipur, Bodo, Ladiki, Kuki. So these all are the tribal languages which the tribal people speak in this region. The European language include English, Portuguese, and French. The last two languages are spoken mostly by the people in Goa and Pondicherry. Because of people, European people who had come and occupied, so people in Pondicherry and Goa, they mostly speak English, Portuguese or French. This makes language planning and promotion difficult, but the mother tongue does evoke strong sentiments and reactions. So we Indians have more relation towards the mother tongue, so we give importance for it. So that is the reason when we say mother tongue, we have a lot of sentiment towards it. On as a consequence of the multiplicity, there is a considerable bilingualism, and administration has to use more than one language. Linguistic diversity has possessed administrative and political challenges. So you have linguistic diversities has brought lot of changes. Okay, because of administration region, we know we have once then we have conflicts between the North Indians and South Indians, stating that, for example, language issues we have, because mostly India is a multilingual country. What happens is you should have an administration language. Then that is when people decided that English should be an official language. With that, even now also we say that Hindi is not a national language, it is considered as an official language. So all the languages should be made an official language, because everyone should be convenient to be part of the society. Then next, moving on to religious diversity. There are 8 major religions community in India. Hindu constitution, according to Hindu's constitution, you have Hindu, you have 82%, then Muslims you have 11%, Christian 2.662%, Buddhist 0.7%, Jains 9.4%, Zoroastrian 0.3, Jews 0.1. Each major religion is subdivided along the lines of religion, document, sex and cult. So according to, we have our religious sex documents, according to it, everyone are divided. Okay, so the major, so Muslim and Christian lies under the minority, so Hindu come under the majority. The Hindus are broadly divided into Shaivites. So Shaivites are the people who will worship Lord Shiva, Vaishnavites who worship Vishnu. So in Hinduism only we have subcaste, where people are being divided. Okay, it's not a subcaste, it's a subdivision. And then you have Shakta. Shakta are the worshippers of mother goddesses. Okay, in various manifestation. Even among them, there are subdivision based on the doctrinal ritual. Among this also, we have different types of divisions which is there. Okay, Buddhism was spread widely in India once, but it was rival of Vedic Hinduism. It lost its hold in the country of its birth and remained confined only to the few pockets. So whatever Hinduism, Buddhism also was being born in India, but because of all the politics which is there in other religion, in Buddhism was, what to say, it didn't spread properly. The division of Buddhism into Mahayana and Hinayana. So Buddhism is divided into two groups, that is Mahayana and Hinayana, were based on the doctrinal differences and do not represent a gradation in society. So it is not having a, what to say, like it is not been documented. So that is the reason why Buddhism it's not having a major influence in the society. Next, moving on to Jainism. Jainism too once held wide sway in India, and though the followers are now numerically small, they are found in both the north and southern states. They have two main divisions, that is Digambara, the unclothed, and the Shvetambara, the white robe. So what happens? Jainism also had a main. So who is the founder of Buddhism? That is Lord Buddha. His real name is Siddhartha. Next, Jainism was by Tirthankara, that is Mahavira. So you have two divisions under this, that is Shvetambara and Digambara. Digambara are the people, unclothed people. We say, the people who will never wear clothes. Okay, Shvetambaras are the people white robe, who will wear only white clothes. Okay, under this division. The Jain community had an open class system. They didn't have any class system. People could move from one class to another according to their aptitude. They can move according to their life, whatever they want to do, they could do, but they could not, for there's no caste system, anything. Untouchability not practiced among them, and interdining is allowed. However, the Jain have endogamous jatis. So under Jainism also you have many jatis, but it didn't come. People didn't follow it. Okay, next, moving on to the Indian Muslims are divided broadly into the Sunni and Shia. So in the Muslim division is Sunni and Shia's communities. The latter are smaller of two sections, but they are large enough to largest Shia group outside Iran. Of 4 schools, Muslim law of majority of Indian Sunnis follow the Afini school. Okay. Afini school in the south, especially among the Mapillas of Lakshmadweep, Lakada, Islanders of Shafi school is followed. So these are the different schools. We have two sects. That is, the two sects are Shias and Sunnis. Okay. Then you have Shafi school is followed. The third is the Malaika school. So you have Afni school, Shafi school, Maliki school. So you have to know in which region they are practicing. Afni school is being practiced. Indian Sunnis follow the Afni groups. Then in the south, especially in Mapillais, in Lakshmadweep, people follow the Shafi groups. Then the third one, the Malaki group, is being followed by the Sunnis of Gujarat. But fourth, the Hanabali school is not followed. So we don't have Hanabali school not been followed. Okay. India, the Shias have their own Imami law. They are further subdivided into the followers of 12 Imams and the followers of 7 Imams. So, under Shias only you have differences. Who follows 12 Imams, 7 Imams. In addition, there are 14 religion orders, to which the Chishti order and the Shirwardi order or the Shahi Tari order, the Qadi order, the Naqshbandi order are important. So you have the orders given by their own communities. Okay, there are some irregular orders also. There are also certain sections among Indian Muslims such as Sayyid, Sheikh, Patan, etc. So under them also you have Sayyid, Sheikh, Patan. So this is the diversity inside one religion. Is so many diversities you have. Then next, moving on to Sikhism. Indian Christian are divided into Roman Catholic, Protestant, and into many denominational churches. So Christians are being divided into two groups: the Roman Catholics and Protestant. So that is majorly divided into many more. Sikhism is synthesizing religion that emphasizes egalitarianism. Granth Sahib is their holy book. So what is the holy book of Sikhs? It's Granth Sahib, and the Amritsar Golden Temple is one of the holy pilgrimage, so the center for them. Sikhism emerged in the 15th century. Its founder Guru Nanak was the nine gurus. And the 9 gurus who followed him preached against the hypocrisy in the religion. They spoke about why Sikhism came, or how Jainism and Buddhism came. The same way Sikhism came, and its leader is Guru Nanak. The religious symbols of Sikhism are 5 Ks. Okay, 5 Ks. Okay, that is Kesha, the hair, Kanga, the comb, Kara, or the kada, which we say bracelet, then kripa, sword, then kacha, shorts. So this is the 5 things, okay, which is majorly important. The Parsis are small community, but they have played an important role in Indian industrial development. So Parsis are important in the industrial development. They first came to India in the 8th century AD from the Persia, seeking refuge for persecution. They came to India to be saved, okay. Their contribution to India is quite disproportionate to their size, but for their religious rites, they have adopted lifestyle of mercantile community. So they have adopted the mercantile community. The Jewish has been established in India for over millennium, though they did not know Hebrew and next to nothing to the Judaic spiritual law. They observed some Jewish dietary regulations and festivals. They also had white and black divisions, prohibition on intermarriages and interdining, but they all worshipped the same synagogue. The Jati-like restriction are much less in Bombay and Cochin, to where much Jews have immigrated. So you can see Jewish community also is being there in India. The next, moving on to cultural and ethnic diversities. Another important source of diversity is cultural diversities. The people differ considerably in their social habits. Cultural differences varies from state to state. The conflicting varying shades of blood, strains, culture and modes of life, character, conduct, beliefs, morals, food, dress, manners, social norms, social, religious customs, rituals. So people vary, okay. Culture we vary from each state is having different culture. In each state, each district is also having different types of culture, food habits, etc. Cause culture and ethnic diversity in the country. Dr. R.K. Mukherjee rightly said, India is a museum of cults. Means we have different types of religion and customs, creeds, culture, faith and tongue, racial types and social systems. So India is something where it is culturally different. Another important source of diversity is the cultural identity of particular communities and regions. Ethnic diversity means having a wide variety of racial, cultural and linguistic characteristics. Further, ethnic groups is defined as having characteristics of a sizable group of people sharing a common and distinctive racial, national, religious, linguistic and cultural heritage. The main racial types have been discussed in a brief in the preceding pages. The bulk of the present Indian population represent racial admixture in various degrees. So India is a country where culturally, ethnically it's different from region to region, from state to state. We have different food habits, different dress habits, etc. So we have a image here. Is a lack of assimilation a threat to the cultural integrity or the state of a racial exclusion essential for the religious and ethnic purity? Rumors of violence against the northeastern people triggered a mass exodus in the Bangalore in 2012. So in 2012 we had a problem. The violation where the northeastern people had to move to their homeland. Despite media and uproar, race issues are brushed aside and been insignificant. So this is the issues. Yes, we are unity, we have diversity, but at some point of time we have different kind of society as well. Well, some caste, sects and communities have an individual ethnic, they also have an organic link with the other elements of the population. So yes, we are from different caste, sects, etc., but then too we are connected as one people in one country, which develop a cultural personality over time. The people in such region may share ethnic origins, language and cultural traits. More important are their shared historical experience as well as ecology and environment. Powerful kingdoms and empire and also major dynasties have directly and indirectly contributed to the shaping of culture, regions and the great empire had a central cultural zone, but it is diluted from their influence extended distance peripheries too. Hence, India is considered subcontinent of Asia. So, India is part of subcontinent of Asia, and we have different kinds of diversity. Let it be religious, linguistic, cultural, etc. We'll see about the unity in the next class.